Hey there, my fellow YouTubers. This is Cassandra72, and I want to welcome all my subscribers to my channel. And if there are any new, sorry about that, you guys. Let me just put this phone on Do Not Disturb. I am at work for my one day in the office, and yeah. So that was my cell phone, though. Let me just put that on Do Not Disturb, so we won't have those issues, because I am filming on my new iPad Air that I've had for a little bit, look, like a week now. Literally like a week, and no, actually 6 days. Oh yeah, loving it. And you will bear with me if I don't seem as if I'm truly focused on where I should be looking, because I'm not necessarily used to the camera orientation being where it is. And yeah, I'm just a little bit all over the place, and I'll be looking at my computer to get some information on my phone for some other information as I explain this new venture we're taking. So number one, it's strange that I'm in front of the camera, and I will actually be in front of the camera going forward for several videos, because of the fact that I am now using this platform to document my weight loss journey. And it is a weight loss journey that I am embarking upon, or have embarked upon, using Tirzepatide, Zepbound, and Mounjaro. I'm not exactly sure, I guess, where I should start, but I am, and also the fact that I am doing this journey through the Weight Watchers sequence program. And so, like I said, I just kind of want to document all of that, and you know, if it could help somebody, then, you know, so be it, it can help somebody. And if there's any questions that I can answer, I will definitely try to answer. But I am not, of course, a healthcare professional, and any such questions that you really have regarding that should be directed to your own care team or healthcare provider. But yes, so I had decided back in April to truly look into the Weight Watchers sequence program. Even though it is, you know, it can be, or is technically kind of expensive. And so I believe that I signed, I'm looking at my billing history here. I signed up for it on April the 21st, and there was a 3-month commitment at $84 a month. So it told me that I could use, I think, my flex spending card. And so I went ahead and I hopped on that, because I basically wanted to see how that worked. And it told me that my initial consultation, the initial clinician consult, was $49. I can't remember if they were saying the first month was, it wasn't free, but I guess the first, technically I guess the first month, which they're listing it as the initial clinician consult, but it was $49. And I had to be a part of their subscription plan for at least 3 months at $84 a month. Now it is $99 a month if you go month to month, but as you sign up for different commitment plans, it is a bit cheaper. For instance, I know that I'm trying to do the year after this month ends, and it will be $8.99, I think, for the year, which works out to be about $75 a month. Of course, the cheaper it is, the longer you commit and subscribe and kind of pay up front. But in any event, that is what I did. I went ahead and, you know, went through the questionnaire and everything, and pretty much was approved. And as I stated, they did charge me the 21st, and I actually was reached out to. You end up having a care team, which ultimately consists of your care coordinator, your clinician, and the nutritionist, if you do sign up for that, I guess, option, or you sign up to speak to someone regarding your nutrition, they become part of your team as well. Now, I was reached out to by the care coordinator back on the 21st. They say that you can message them 365 days a year, but of course, there are holidays. So if they're holidays, they're not necessarily going to get back to you then, but you can always message them. And so, because that was actually on a Sunday that she reached out to me. And then on Tuesday the 23rd is when the clinician came into the chat, and you do have to put in initial information regarding, I think, like your blood pressure, your weight, your height. I can't remember everything, but they also wanted you to, if you had any recent lab reports, they wanted you to turn that in as well. So the only thing that I had at the time was a lab report back done here at my job. In order to get the best wellness rate for our insurance, we have to do a biometric screening basically every year. It was relaxed back when COVID took place. So I had last had a biometric screening, I think it was March of 2023. So I sent that to them. And I do have high blood pressure, and the clinician said she noticed my reading was high, so I needed to enter a second blood pressure reading. And she asked some follow-up questions as do I have high blood pressure, and if I was taking any blood pressure medication. And also in reviewing my lab work, I had high cholesterol, and my blood sugar level was high as well. And then she asked me if I remember if that was a fasting number. And I had to, of course, add a scale photo. That was probably the most difficult part of the whole process for me, because I had a Fitbit scale. And first of all, if I'm holding anything such as a phone, that was going to add to the weight, so I tried not to do that. But your weight would blink. First of all, the light, there was an illumination on the actual scale, and you would see your weight for a few seconds, and then it would go to like the BMI and then percentage of body fat, I think, and then it would, go off. And so you had to be really quick to try to get a picture. And so, yeah, that was the most difficult part for me, as I explained that, it rapidly changes from my weight to my BMI and whatever. So, like I said, it was trying. So you couldn't have shoes on. The scale couldn't be blurry. You had to have both feet in the scale, because I tried to have my niece, take a picture of the scale before it blinked away to another number. And I sent that in, and it was like, oh no, you need to have your feet in the picture. And I'm like, Lord. So the conversations that I was having, between about the 24th, with the care coordinator. But finally, on the 25th of April, I was able to get a picture sent to them. But had I not, then I was going to have to basically go to a doctor or a lab and get weighed there, and have the date, and had to be within the past 3 months, had to have the name of my clinic or provider, my name, my weight, in order for them to upload the chart. So that was going to be a whole rigmarole just to establish my weight. Like, dude, I mean, I guess I understand, because you don't want to put anyone on these GLP-1 meds that are only trying to lose about 5 or 10 pounds, I guess, vanity weight. So, I mean, I understand. But even though, like, you really have to blow the picture up to see, I was finally able to get a weight posted, which at the time on my scale with my feet, oh my God, and I just realized how bad they look. But anyway, 359.6. That is what I sent to them, and it was verified on the 25th. And so, and that was at 11:01. Clinician actually came into the messaging system at 3:47, and she wanted me to do an additional blood pressure reading since that reading was high. And they just to say they wanted to get an understanding of how my blood pressure run. So I basically just had to add that in the app. And then she also wanted to let me know that on my lab work, my blood glucose was showing as 195 and a normal fasting sugar is less than 100. And so that could mean that I had to take diabetes or pre-diabetes. And let me just pause for the cause right there and say, I knew that I should have been going to the doctor or watching that a little bit more closely, but I just had not. And I guess when I did a biometric screening and I'm like, okay, I know I'm fat. I know I got high blood pressure. But other than that, I had pretty much been healthy my entire life, right? And even though I've always been a bigger girl, this is the biggest I've been, of course, when I wasn't pregnant, in my entire life. But I've never been a small individual that I can remember. I don't really remember what I ever truly weighed in high school. I just knew that I always thought I was so fat. But in retrospect, I'm looking at pictures and I'm like, you know what? While I probably was heavier than my friends, it wasn't like it was this huge disparity that I had in my mind. So even back then, I guess body dysmorphia, it was a thing. And I guess that was the only thing that I truly suffered from. But yeah, I was not, and maybe I was 20, 30 pounds heavier than my friends, but it wasn't like I was walking around here like, and by doctor's charts, I'm sure overweight, but it wasn't like I was walking around here morbidly obese at 14, 15 years old, like I so thought. But yeah, I do remember being like 195 or something like that in high school, and I'm only 5'3", but not, I guess, that much different from my friends. And I was in the marching band, concert and marching band. So I was in a band, and we performed just about every Friday at football games, both home and away, and of course marched in parades and stuff like that. So, we were constantly practicing. So, not unhealthy. Had a healthy, not an athlete or anything, of course, by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely, an active individual. And then, of course, still like, riding bikes and, things like that, as a normal kid, teenager, whatever. So, and of course, we didn't sit in the house day in and day out like, kids do today, quite honestly, like I do. Like I said, I knew the high blood pressure, of course, I had, and of course, I was obviously overweight, but never truly what I considered, so unhealthy. So while I knew that I guess, blood glucose tended to be on the high side, I guess I didn't really take it seriously. Even when, my daughter is now 19 years old, and when I was pregnant with her, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, and that went away as soon as I had her, basically. I did end up taking, they tried diet, then they tried pills. I don't remember what the actual prescription was. Then ultimately I did insulin, and I do not remember the dosage or anything of that. But ultimately, had to give myself insulin while I was pregnant with her. But this was all toward the end of the pregnancy too. But as I stated, it went away. I never heard anything else regarding it, as soon as I had her. But I did know that they say that if you have gestational diabetes, you may end up developing it, and I may be falsifying these numbers or pulling them off the top of my head somewhere, but that you may end up developing full-blown diabetes when, anywhere from 10 to 20 years. And again, like I say, I might be making those numbers up. But in any event, that's just, like I said, a little bit of my history. But yeah, getting back on topic here. So yeah, that was April the 25th. So, like I said, I don't know what other people's experience with sequence is, but to me, they were pretty well on it. So I was very happy to see that. And so then, and I'm currently looking for a PCP. So I'm not seeing anyone regularly right now, but I will be trying to find someone that I like, that's within my network and not too far between work or home, as I do primarily still work from home since the pandemic, and I'll get into that. And this video is already 18 minutes long, so I don't want it to go too long, but I will get into all of that, recapping everything with the pandemic and my weight. The doctor got back with me actually on a Sunday. So like I said, they're responsive. Even on the weekends, you might you'll get an answer. So the doctor did say that it would be good to establish, with a primary care doctor to treat my blood pressure and any blood sugar, even if I don't have symptoms, which I really wasn't. And then she said that she wanted to go ahead and order me to do labs to get my A1C, which would show, of course, my blood sugar over the past 3 months. And I'm not sure why, because I know people probably could be higher than this. And to my way of thinking, it was, if I end up being diabetic, then I don't see why the medicine wouldn't be a good choice for me. But in any event, she said that I had to have a number that was less than 10, and if that was the case, then she could move forward with my treatment plans. And said if I was agreeable to having the lab orders done, then go ahead and let her know. And I was like, okay. I didn't see it till Monday, and I said, that's fine, thanks. So that Monday, she placed a lab order for me to either go and do Quest or LabCorp, and they actually were going to pay for it, but they only paid for them if they were done at Quest or LabCorp, and I should aim to get them done within the 14 days. So that was a Monday, and I was able to set up an appointment for Thursday, so April 29th. And so on the 30th, the care coordinator came in and say, hey, once your lab results are ready, I could view them in the lab work section of the clinic settings of the app or website. So Thursday would have been the 2nd of May, and the results were already back by the 3rd. My A1C was a 9.0, and all I was concerned about was, hey, it's under the 10. But then here was the scary part. Borderline high cholesterol, and then I needed to enter my blood pressure reading, and then they said I could either be on weight loss meds of their formulary metformin and GLP-1, but I needed to, get with a primary care provider to follow up on the blood sugar, cholesterol, etc. And so I just needed to add a new blood pressure, and I was able to do that at home. But once I did that, it was a little bit higher than they really that she wanted to see. This was Monday, May 6th, so I had to get a clearance letter saying that it was okay for me to be on a weight loss med such as GLP-1 and metformin. That was the 6th. By the 8th, I had uploaded the documents that they required. On May the 9th, the clinician came back and asked me some follow-up questions regarding being depressed or anything like that, because I guess these medications can end up making some people be depressed or have suicidal thoughts or things of that nature. But I've never had those issues. I've never had to do therapy or anything like that. Like I said, I've always pretty much been fat, but my weight either wasn't an issue, or you end up meeting individuals who tend to like girls that are on the bigger side, and I was never bullied or anything like that because of my weight. So I guess I've considered myself very fortunate in that respect, and it's been a blessing and a curse because, like I said, never really took stuff too seriously. Like I said, that is until because I was like 320 when I got pregnant with my daughter. I got up to 370 with her, but then a doctor's appointment before I had her, but then once I was admitted to have her, I was 369, and that's a whole nother story for another day. Yeah, so that would have been the highest that I had ever gotten to adult life, was pregnant. But then when I got up to over that and I wasn't pregnant and I didn't have any choice, I mean, there was no excuse for being, that fat. It's like, okay, Cassandra, might need to try to rein this on in, baby girl. And so I responded to the fact of not having, any basically mental issues the 9th. And then I think, yeah, come Friday the 10th, they basically said, hey, so she reviewed my history and would recommend me for the GLP-1. And then I pretty much had to select which one I wanted. And I think I initially went with metformin because I know that they said that was free with the Weight Watchers program under the umbrella of what I was already paying. But I don't know why I think I referred earlier to the clinician saying something about both. I went back to, it seems like I thought I had some conversation with the care coordinator, but I don't know where that was. That's when they went through the series of, that's what it was. So she was recommending the GLP-1, wanted me to review the treatment options, and I think I probably did go through saying I wanted the GLP-1. And so they went through supposedly, because they work with the insurance company and all that for you. And they went through all the prior authorizations. And by the 13th, the insurance company had already responded to the prior authorizations. It said it could take up to 2 weeks, but it was like literally days. It said basically after the insurance company responded, they would follow up with me for the best treatment options and estimated pricing. On the 14th, I initially chose to pursue metformin, and then the care coordinator came back into the chat and said that they had heard back. I selected metformin, and if there was any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to them. But then I said I was a little confused because it gave me 2 options, and I thought it would be metformin and another one, and I said I believe it was Mounjaro. But now I'm only seeing metformin because I was trying to review my choices. So as I stated, they said metformin was one of their core medicine options. That is included in the cost of membership. But if I wanted to do GLP-1, she could update it. So she did. We switched over to that. And they actually put me, even though clearly I was diabetic, they went ahead and put me on the Zepbound treatment plan. And then on the 15th, I was told that my prior authorization for Zepbound came back resolved, and it was an ambiguous response, they said, which means only that the way to determine my out-of-pocket cost was to ask the pharmacy after they received the medication, the prescription. And they suggested, of course, once the clinician sent the prescription over for me to call the pharmacy to find out, which I didn't even have to do that because they sent it to CVS. The next thing I knew, I was getting a text from CVS saying, we've got this prescription and it's going to cost $30. Do you want to go ahead and fill it? And I'm like, of course, because I had, of course, done my own research and seeing how expensive it could be, even looking like with GoodRx and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, $1,000, I'm not going to be able to afford it. Sister can't afford that. So that was going to be a no. Yeah, $30. I said, let's go ahead and do it. Plus, I had signed up for the savings cards or what have you that said it could be like $25 for up to 3 months, for anywhere from one month or a 3-month prescription. I don't know how the 3-month one works, but I'm like, okay, cool. Like I said, pretty seamless process, pretty fast. So they sent the prescription over on the 15th. And like I said, CVS sent me the message, I think, on the 15th saying I want for them to fill it. And I said yes, and they did. And then by the 17th, which was a Friday, I had my medication in hand. And we're experiencing shortages and stuff like that, which I won't get into that right now. I'll touch on that maybe in another video, because without editing, and I don't know how much editing I will do, I'm now at 31 minutes with this video, so I need to kind of just be wrapping this up because I know it's a long one. I was able to get the medication. The care coordinator told me that if I ever ran into supply issues, I should let them know, and they can do like a pharmacy stock search in my area. And I'm not sure how they knew, but I picked up my medication and it told me in the chat that, hey, you picked up your Zepbound subscription. Check my treatment plan for instructions. Okay. And so, yeah, I picked up my medication on the 17th, which was a Friday. Herein is where I guess I'll say a little discrepancy or whatever in my weight, because I started out on the Fitbit scale, and in that time it was weighing me at 359, but I have changed my starting weight to 361.6 because last week I got a new Renfo Health scale, and that weighed me 2.6 pounds heavier. And so in order to keep everything consistent with my weight loss number at the time in the Weight Watchers app and the Secrets program, I basically just upped everything to 2.6. And so I said my starting weight was 361.6. Here is where I start chronicling my experience with the Zepbound. I do want to first say that my highest weight ever was 380.3 back on October 16, 2021. And I would like to blame the pandemic for that, but I really can't too much in and of itself, because I had been working from home for the pandemic since March 25th, 2020. But by April 16th, 2021, I was back in the office at 1 day a week, and that's still all I've done. So I basically still work from home. I only come in on Tuesdays, and that started 8/16. So 2 months later, I was up to my highest weight. So I could blame the pandemic in a sense, but in a sense I can't, because at least I was coming in to work by that time. So when I went out for the pandemic, I was 357.9, but I got up to 380.3, which was entirely too much, as we already know, and especially on my 5'3" frame. I'm not really sure how I ultimately just let myself get up there, but then I ultimately was able to lose some, not really trying hard, just I guess doing a little bit of portion control, pretty much just eating 1 or 2 meals a day. And so ultimately I came down, but I never really could break that 360 range. But I was briefly under 350 in September when my daughter ultimately went off to college. And I got down to a low of 347.9. But I only stayed there for half a second, and then kept going back up until I guess my set weight in my body's mind should be around that 360 point. And so that's where I basically remained until I started this medication. But yeah, I took my very first shot of the Zepbound on May the 17th. And like I said, at that time, I was a 361.6. And I'm not going to go day by day or anything like that, but there's a big festival in my city, and I work for the city's Parks and Recreation Department, and I ended up volunteering for this event. It's voluntary, but not a mandatory. That we do, a couple of volunteer events for the bigger events department / city puts on. I sat basically right outside my volunteer shift was just kind of counting the people. We were monitoring the number of people that were in and out. And so I was right at the entrance, and just a few steps away were all these wonderful food trucks. And I don't know if it was a placebo effect or what was going on, but I could tell you that I did not want their stuff. And, the thing about, you'll hear people that are on these medications talk about food noise. First of all, the appetite was definitely suppressed, because like I said, I sat there and didn't want anything from any. It would have been so easy for me to just step inside the festival and get whatever, but I didn't want anything. The only thing I think I did have, I might have had some trail mix, but I think I basically just did water. because we have volunteers coming around, checking on the other volunteers, and they brought us some water, and I didn't want anything. I was so surprised at myself, and I'm like, is this truly the medicine, or, like I said, placebo effect? But I'm thinking it had to be the medicine, so I was really, really happy to see that. Oh, this is one other thing I should have, I think I might can still see that. Um, because the medication comes, you get 4 pre-filled vials. I'm kind of disappointed in myself in a sense, but I know you can't compare yourself to other people. That's another thing. You cannot truly compare yourself to other people. But I just would have thought, as being someone who was on the heavier side, that I might have had, water weight to drop, or but then too, I have to understand that I had pretty much already lost about 20 pounds over the course of a couple of years. As I was down, like I said, to the 360. I'd already lost about 20 pounds. So I can't just have expected such a drastic drop, especially when I really haven't changed my eating habits too much per se. I just eat pretty much smaller portions. I do try to get a lot of healthier choices in when I can, but I haven't made any truly, I guess, drastic changes. And that was one thing I was working with the nutritionist on. But what I wanted to also mention was that I guess I can't be too down on myself that I haven't lost such a huge amount, because of the fact that I did, over the past couple of years, I had lost little amount. So it wasn't, just doing different little things here or there, but had not, I guess, like totally started from scratch, if you will. Now, let me tell you what I did. Like I said, the medicine comes in 4 pre-filled vials. And number one, can't be too mad at myself because of the fact that, you can't compare yourself to anyone else. And the fact that this is, if I did not mention, I don't think I did, I'm now about to end my 8th week, but I've only taken 7 vials of the medication because my dumb butt called myself being so precise with the instructions, but did not take off the gray cap. That is on the end of the pen. And so my very first pen, that expensive liquid gold, I wasted. So I'm like, I'm not feeling anything. What is this? And I'm like, girl, I mean, and I'm 52 years old. It's like, lady, how did you think this needle was going to puncture? How do you think this needle was supposed to puncture through this gray cat? I don't know what I was reading, but clearly I wasn't reading the right thing. Yeah, I'm like, oh God. And so I took out, when I took out the cap, here goes all the medicine squirting everywhere. So I'm like, oh Jesus. So now it's like, what do you do? Because I truly wanted to start that medicine on the 17th. And as we know, like I said, I did, because I've already alluded to the fact that I already had the suppression, I think by the 18th, and the no food noise. I'm like, what am I going to do? Because here I am wanting to start this medicine, and I have messed up my first vial. And so in reading the literature, it did say that if you miss a dose, you could take it within 96 hours. And that something about you could basically, you needed to have at least, 2 days, I think, between, or 3 days between doses, like if you were trying to change your injection day. And so I said, well, I could totally skip over and not do my injection until the next Friday, or I could basically go ahead and take that injection on the 17th and then just basically stagger my other shots, so that I would still end up, I think it was June the 7th is when the date would have been. So I would technically still have that last shot in me by June the 7th. Hopefully then have my other prescription put in. So I decided to do the staggering. So I took the first shot on the 17th of May, and then the next shot normally would have been the 24th, but I took it on Sunday, May the 26th. And then at that point, I probably should have taken it Sunday, June the 2nd. But I did not. I actually took it. I actually took my shot on Monday, June the 3rd. I should have waited and taken it until Tuesday, but I did not want to do that. So I took my shots on May the 17th, May the 26th, and then June the 3rd. So then where I normally would have had the shot on the 7th, but I did not take it again until when? Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So those were the dates that I took that medication. If I have not thoroughly confused you, I'm not going to go through everything at this point because now I definitely didn't mean for this video to go this long. I want to say that I had probably put in the prescription for my refill on the 30th, maybe. Yeah, I put in my prescription for my refill on May the 30th because I should have taken, like, I figured it was like a week out from the time that I would have had my last shot, that my last shot was due. And so that is when the clinician did come back and ask me about my side effects, how many doses I had taken so far. And at that point, I told her I had only taken 2 since I messed up my first dose. And I was down to 1 left, and I was going to take that next week, and then I would be out. And I hadn't had no side effects. And I told her I was down almost 5 pounds, and that was May the 30th. So only having taken 2 doses, down 5 pounds, I thought that was great. And so she decided to keep me on the 2.5 of the Zepbound because I had not, taken, I wouldn't have taken the full 3 shots. So they kept me on the 2.5. So that was sent. Yeah, she kept me on the 2.5. And then also I asked about being on metformin at the same time, because my mind was thinking ahead to, if there's ever a shortage. I mean, I know metformin is truly for diabetes, but it has some weight loss components as well, even though not as much or nearly as high as the GLP-1s, but just to have that in my system as well in case there was ever a delay in getting the medication. So she put me on 500 milligrams of metformin once a day at that time as well. She went ahead and put in my prescription, but I think with the timing of it, it was like too soon for the pharmacy to refill. And so I did not actually pick that medication up until the 12th, I think, of June. And then just in, being in different groups and looking at different videos and things like that, I decided to push my injection day back to the 13th. So I picked up my medication on Wednesday the 12th, I do believe. And then I started my next injection on Thursdays. And that's where I have been. And here is just where I will kind of recap my weight loss. I will say that I basically ended my first box, or the first four weeks would have ended for me on June the 12th, and I was down 7.9 pounds. And now I have taken, so I took my first shot of the new prescription on June the 13th. And then I just took my last shot last Thursday, which would have been July the 4th, Independence Day. And so, technically the 11th, this is the 9th, technically the 11th will be the end of my first 8 weeks on the medication. But as of right now, being the 7 weeks and 5 days in, on the scale this morning, I was 348.4. So as of today, I'm 348.4, which means I'm a total of 13.2 pounds down in 7 weeks and 5 days. Now, hopefully, I'll have another pound or so off. It'd be great to reach that 15-pound mark in the 8 weeks. And if I do that, that will have meant that I basically lost 7.5 pounds each month for a total of about 1.87 pounds, 1.8 pounds each week, which is clearly within that 0.5 to 2 pound range that they say you are supposed to lose. And it ain't bad. I'm not sad about that at all. I'm so glad to be on this journey, and I am not ashamed to let people know that I am getting some medical assistance on it. I hope to see only great things going forward. Thus far, I've not really truly implemented a exercise plan just yet, but I do have a walking pad that supposedly goes up to 340 pounds. So while I've not truly been on that yet, I know that some people said, I think some lady, one of the reviews said that she was 349 or something like that. I just wanted to make sure that I actually had, it was 340-ish before I truly tried to get on it and, use it for any real length of time, since clearly I'm over the limit. And then two, I had to return the first one because I'm not sure what I did when I first got it and, ran it. They said to put a little bit of the lubrication oil on, and maybe I made it go up too fast too soon. It started out as slow as it was supposed to, but then when I, let it go as fast as it could, which was 3.8 miles an hour, and let the lubrication run, I don't know what happened, but it definitely basically did not go any slower. And when I got on that thing and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna walk, it threw me off. And then it started, when I would turn it on, it would immediately go up to 3.8. And, I would say turn it off, and it was supposed to like count down and, slowly get slower till it got down to the points. Actually, it's supposed to be anywhere from 0.6 to 3.8, but when you say you turn it off, it counts down to 0.5, point all the way down to 0.1 till it finally cuts off. It said it was counting down, but it never got any slower until it just shut off. So I ultimately had to get a replacement with Amazon. And yeah, but I've not been on it. But it is pretty cool. My daughter has used it. I think I'm going to like that. And then, of course, I do have a bike at home that I've had for a while that I'll be using as well. And then tomorrow I'm getting, I don't know how well it will work, but I'm basically getting it for arthritis pain that I'm trying to alleviate, and it's supposed to be good for lymphatic drainage and all of that, but I'm getting a vibration plate, and I feel like I don't know what there really is to it. I don't know if it will have any exercise benefits. I just feel like it would be a good thing to have, because once upon a time when I was getting treated for like my spine being misaligned a little bit, as part of the physical therapy, they did have vibration plates set up at the clinic. So I feel like there must be, something to them, and I'm gonna go ahead and get one at home as well. So hopefully incorporating the use of all those things before I truly get back into the gym, they'll help, spur my loss on even further. And I can't wait to take my next shot, which actually I have switched to the Mounjaro. They did switch me to Mounjaro because the clinician was worried about possible shortages of the Zepbound, and to me it made sense, since I am diabetic. They would actually put me on the Mounjaro, but thankfully these shortages appear to be subsiding, and the dosages that are still in shortage are going to be, a ways away from me, because I think it's the The Mounjaro, both the Mounjaro and Zepbound come in 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, and 15 milligram dosages. And I'm just about to start the 5 of Mounjaro. And I actually plan to be on the 5. I'm not trying to, rush to titrate up. I'm planning on staying on the the lowest dosage I could possibly can until it no longer works for me. So, there's that. And so the dosages that supposedly are still in shortage, and they say it has more so to do with the manufacturing of the pens than the actual medication, are the 10 and the 15, I think. I think those are the ones that are having the shortage issues supposedly till the end of this month. So I should be fine for a while. Yes, so that is it, I guess, for this first installment. Is definitely been enough. If you all have any questions or comments about it, don't hesitate to, get in contact with me. I will, answer anything I can to the best of my ability. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I still left out, but I didn't anticipate this video being this long as it was, and I definitely need to get back to work. But yeah, questions or comments, leave them below. I answer them, like I said, to the best of my ability. And if you're on these meds as well, or you can reach out to me and let me know what your experiences are. And hey, we're all in this together, right? So yeah, I guess that's it, you guys. Until the next video, peace and blessings.